You don't belong here. Go wash off the illusion of mattering. The words didn't just cut, they splashed across the marble-decked silence like a slap dipped in venom. Red silk glistened under sunset light as Clara Martins, lover of the host and self-crowned queen of this floating palace, shoved a woman in a purple gown toward the edge of the yacht. Gasps shot like sparks. Champagne flutes froze mid-air. Someone whispered, "Did she just?" But it was too late. Nia Blake's heel caught the teak wood ridge. Her body tilted back, arms flailing in instinct. For a breathless second, the world held its breath. Then, a splash. Laughter from the upper deck. Nervous chuckles. One guest clapped softly, unsure if this was a show. It wasn't. Nia's head surfaced in the cobalt water below, dress blooming around her like a bruised lily. Her eyes scanned the faces staring down. None reached for her. Not her husband. Not the friends she dined with. Not even the hostess. Above her, Clara smirked. "Oops," she cooed, brushing non-existent dust off her shoulder. "I thought the sea deserved better company." One waiter stepped back, horrified. Another whispered, "Should we help?" "No," said a voice. Cold. Male. She needed a wake-up call. Nia didn't scream. Didn't plead. She floated, face tilted toward the sky, the sinking sun catching in the whites of her eyes. She had seen this before. Not on a boat. Not in a gown. But in boardrooms, in lobbies, in systems too polite to say what Clara just did. You don't matter. But tonight, someone did move. A man in a black tuxedo dropped his glass on the deck. Without a word, he sprinted past the frozen crowd and dived headfirst into the Mediterranean. Gasps again, louder this time. Who was that? Is he insane? No, I think that's. But before they could finish the thought, his hands reached her waist. He didn't ask. He didn't hesitate. He pulled her from the deep. And as they rose toward the light, the cameras started rolling. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe in dignity and justice, hit like and subscribe. These stories spark change. And we're glad you're here. Now, back to Nia. She was never meant to be just someone's wife. The water clung to her skin like shame once did. As Elias helped her back onto the lower deck, silence still ruled the crowd above. The clink of a dropped fork, the hush of silk dresses brushing teak. No one dared speak first. Nia Blake stood upright. Soaked. Barefoot. But she didn't tremble. Not now. Not after everything. Behind her, Elias removed his jacket and draped it over her shoulders without a word. He didn't need to say anything. She didn't look at him. Just one nod and he knew she was steady. Because Nia Blake wasn't new to being underestimated. She had walked through spaces like this before, silent, elegant, unacknowledged. Not because she lacked power, but because she chose not to flash it. Her name wasn't printed on the event's sponsor list tonight. But her company was. Her face wasn't on the brochure. But her funding bought the brochure. And yet, here she was dripping on a deck she paid for, pushed into the sea by a woman whose jewelry business she'd unknowingly backed last quarter. Nia didn't scream. She didn't run to her husband, who now stood frozen between Clara and the shocked guests. His name was Grant Harlow, hedge fund royalty, face of polished arrogance. He didn't come to the railing. He didn't ask if she was okay. Because maybe, deep down, he expected this. And maybe, deeper still, he had orchestrated it. From above, someone whispered. "Who is she?" Luis, the young event photographer, heard it. His camera still hung at his side, red light blinking. He wasn't sure if he should be filming anymore. But he knew this wasn't just gossip fuel. It was something off script. Clara, still holding her champagne, said coldly, "Why is no one escorting her out?" The staff hesitated. Nia turned, facing the hull. A banner flapped gently in the breeze, white script over navy cloth. Harlow Foundation. Wealth. Legacy. Class. The irony pressed against her like salt on skin. She had met Grant 10 years ago at a summit on ethical investing. Back then, she'd been the keynote speaker. He was the boy wonder hedge funder with a yacht and a following. She liked the quiet ones. He liked the spotlight. It worked until it didn't. Because while Grant chased attention, Nia built empires. Quietly, legally, relentlessly. Tonight, she'd simply agreed to show up. To be the wife. To nod, to smile, to play the part. But even now, wet, surrounded, insulted, she refused to be what they assumed. She was never meant to be just someone's wife. She had let them forget. That was about to change. Let her drip somewhere else. Let her drip somewhere else, Clara said, loud enough for the upper deck to hear. The words slithered off her tongue like designer venom. She dabbed her napkin against her collarbone, as if the sight of Nia's wet dress might stain her pearls. No one laughed. But no one stopped her either. A waiter approached with a towel. Clara blocked him. "Don't reward theatrics," she hissed. "This isn't a rescue mission. It's a fundraiser." A few guests chuckled nervously. One man in a blazer muttered, "Well, she was kind of asking for it, showing up like that." Nia heard every word. Still barefoot, still drenched, she took 2 slow steps across the deck. Water puddled in her path, darkening the white teak like spilled truth. She didn't respond. Instead, she turned to a young staffer standing by the floral archway. "May I have a glass of water?" The girl blinked. "Yes. Of course." Clara laughed sharply. "She wants water, that's rich." From the corner, Grant finally spoke. His voice was tight, forced. "Clara, maybe enough." But Clara didn't flinch. "Oh, now you find your spine?" she snapped. "Your little display is embarrassing everyone, Grant." She turned to the crowd. "Look, I don't know what fantasy she's living in, but I was told this was a curated guest list. You don't let someone in just because she married up." A murmur rippled through the gathering. Luis, now filming from a shadowed angle behind the floral arch, zoomed in on Nia's expression. Still no words. Still no fury. Just presence. One woman in a silver gown whispered, "Isn't she the logistics woman? That tech shipping thing?" Her friend shook her head. "Can't be. No one that rich would wear that to this." Meanwhile, Elias, the man who dove in, stood off to the side, silent, drying his hands. His eyes never left Nia. Another guest finally stepped in. A woman named Marissa Tan, one of the foundation's PR leads, moved quickly toward Clara. "Let's bring the tone down, okay?" she said through a tight smile. "There are donors here." Clara shot back. "Then they should know who's trying to infiltrate their circle." "Infiltrate?" Nia finally said. One word clear. Low. Sharpened. Clara turned. "Yes. You. Whatever you think this night is, you've mistaken your role." Nia blinked slowly. "I see. Then she walked forward, barefoot on teak, puddles behind her like shadow. Marissa stepped aside. Elias didn't move. Clara tried one last jab. "Be careful, sweetheart. Wet floors are slippery when you're trying to climb." But Nia didn't look back. She just said, "Only if you're standing on someone else's shoulders." She said nothing. And the silence was louder than any slap. She didn't argue. Didn't raise her voice. Didn't ask for sympathy. Nia Blake simply stood there soaked, barefoot, cold wind brushing against her skin like ghosts from 100 boardrooms past. She said nothing. And the silence was louder than any slap. Around her, the party resumed in fragments. Music returned in half-hearted notes, like a DJ unsure whether the crowd wanted noise or shelter. Clara picked up her glass again, pretending this wasn't unraveling. Grant tried to blend into a conversation he wasn't invited to. Marissa typed furiously on her phone, likely crafting the damage control tweet that would never get posted. But Nia, she just walked. Past the chairs. Past the guests who refused to make eye contact. Past the woman in pearls who scooted her purse as if wealth could stain. No rage. No tears. Just presence. That was the thing about power. Real power. It didn't shout. It didn't beg to be seen. It existed quietly until silence itself began to bend around it. Nia reached the side railing. The spot she'd been pushed from just minutes ago. She placed both hands on the cool metal. Her dress clung to her like memory. And for a moment, she let herself feel it. Not the salt water. The déjà vu. She remembered the job interview at 24, fresh out of Wharton, hair tied back, suit 2 sizes too big. The CFO had said she was impressive, but not quite the cultural fit. He meant, not white enough, not male enough, not invisible enough. She'd left that office with no offer but with a plan. 12 years later, she'd built a supply chain empire that powered half the ports along the eastern seaboard. And yet, here she was. Still being tested. Still being told to disappear. A voice broke the quiet behind her. "You okay?" It was Luis, the photographer. Young, hesitant, out of place among the tailored wolves. He wasn't filming now. Just watching. Nia turned to him, eyes clear. "I'm not broken," she said softly. "Just wet." He gave a nervous smile. I didn't know if I should keep filming." "You already did," she replied. "That's enough." From the other side of the deck, Elias spoke for the first time since pulling her from the sea. "Do you want to leave?" he asked. Nia glanced toward Clara, still playing hostess. Toward Grant, sipping guilt from a champagne flute. "No," she said. Let them squirm. Let them pretend this night could still be salvaged. Let them underestimate her just one more time. Because sometimes, silence wasn't surrender. It was set up. You don't get to erase her twice. The first flash didn't come from a camera, it came from a conscience. Luis raised his phone again. No longer hiding. No longer unsure. This time, the lens was steady. He started recording. From across the deck, a woman in a blue cocktail dress stepped forward. She was maybe late 30s, East African accent, eyes sharp with lived experience. Her name? No one asked. But her voice cut clean. What just happened here was violence. In silk. A hush fell. Real this time. She looked straight at Clara. You pushed a woman off a yacht. That's not an accident. That's a message. Clara scoffed. Excuse me? But the woman didn't back down. You pushed her and then laughed. That's what predators do. And all of you watched it like it was part of the entertainment. Another guest, a white man in his 50s with a tan blazer and uncertain morals, muttered. She's being dramatic. The woman turned to him. No. She's being submerged. And you're being complicit. Luis's phone was still rolling. His livestream count had jumped from 14 to 700 inches under a minute. Comments exploded. Who is she? Why did no one help? Wait, is this real? Then came a ripple. From the edge of the buffet, a young waitress named Inez dropped her tray not by accident. She stepped forward, heart racing. I saw Miss Blake's name on the VIP list, she said, voice trembling. It was starred. Executive override. Gasps. Marisa turned pale. Clara snapped, that list is confidential. But Inez cut her off. Then maybe don't humiliate someone whose name opens this damn boat. From the corner, Elias exhaled softly. His eyes stayed on Nia, who still hadn't spoken a single word since her quiet, let them. She didn't need to. Others were doing it now. Even the DJ paused the music. And then, like water finding a crack in the hull, more began to speak. A man in a tailored navy suit. She's Nia Blake? Blake Global Shipping? A woman near the bar. Wait. I invested in one of her ports last year. A murmur, a wave, a shift. Suddenly, Clara's dress didn't seem so red. It seemed desperate. Suddenly, Grant wasn't standing tall, he was shrinking by the second. And suddenly, Nia wasn't alone. Because power, even when silenced, has a way of making itself heard. Luis lowered his phone slightly and said what everyone else was now thinking. You don't get to erase her twice. Security. Now. She's manipulating you, Clara snapped, voice rising above the murmurs. She planned this. The accusation didn't land like before. It bounced off silence, fell flat on the deck. Grant, arms folded, finally stepped forward not to defend Nia, but to rescue his own skin. This is a private event, he said firmly. Let's not get carried away over misunderstandings. Nia tilted her head, just slightly. She didn't move. Didn't blink. But the air shifted. Misunderstanding? The woman in blue said, arms crossed. She nearly drowned. And you call it a PR hiccup? Clara turned toward the yacht crew. Security, she ordered. Now. A young deckhand hesitated. Ma'am, the guest list is irrelevant. She's trespassing. She's not, said Luis. He turned his screen to face them, paused frame by frame, Nia being pushed, Elias diving, Clara laughing. Do you want me to send this to the media now, or later? Clara's lips curled. You think your little video will matter when this is over? Marissa chimed in, trying to fix the unfixable. Let's just all calm down. Nia finally stepped forward. Just one step. Wet dress clinging. Hair pushed back by sea breeze. And that presence, quiet, commanding, immovable, filled the space. You've tried humiliation. You've tried erasure. Now you want silence? She spoke not loudly, but with precision, each word cutting clean. You don't get to design the story just because you paid for the yacht. Grant's jaw clenched. You're making a scene. Nia's Gaza didn't flinch. I am the scene. From behind the bar, Inez whispered. She's not playing. They're in trouble. One of the guests pulled out their phone, searching Nia's name. Whispers. Oh my God, she owns the Eastern Maritime Corridor. Her company handles military logistics. Wait, she's the silent investor behind Port Aegis? Grant's face drained of color. Clara, shaking now but still posturing, stepped forward. You think a few investments make you untouchable? Nia didn't even look at her. They make me unforgettable. The boat rocked barely, but enough for someone to stumble. A metaphor, unintentional, but perfect. Security arrived at last. Two men in black polos, earpieces in place. Clara pointed at Nia. Remove her. Immediately. One of the guards hesitated. We need clearance. You have it, she barked. Nia pulled out her phone. One tap. One word. Activate. The screen lit up. A soft chime. The guard's earpiece buzzed, then silence. He stepped back, looked at her not as threat, but as someone whose name might already be in his payroll system. Ma'am, he said. Yes? I'm going to step out of this one. Smart man. Get her phone, she's a threat. She's dangerous, Clara said, stepping back now, voice sharp and trembling. She's trying to sabotage the entire Foundation event. No, Inez whispered near the bar. She's just not letting you erase her. But Clara didn't hear or didn't care. Get her phone, she snapped. She's a threat. She's filming. She's documenting private conversations. One of the junior crew members hesitated, then looked to Grant for direction. Grant didn't blink. Do it. Nia turned, calmly placing her phone in the inner pocket of Elias's tuxedo. You'll have to take it from him. The silence cracked. Clara pointed at Elias. You're helping her? You jumped for her? I don't jump for people, Elias said evenly. But I dive for truth. You don't even know who she really island. I know enough. Clara's rage turned feral. Fine. Then let's make it real. She pulled out her own phone and dialed. Police, she said, loud and proud. We have a hostile guest. Possibly violent. Possibly armed. Several guests gasped, some out of shock, others out of realization. This just crossed a line. Luis lowered his camera. Did she just say armed? Nia didn't react. But Elias stepped forward. Clara, that's a false report. That's a felony. Let them sort it out, Clara said, eyes wild. She needs to learn what it feels like. End of Cree. What it feels like to what? Said the woman in the blue dress. To drown in someone else's power trip? But Clara wasn't listening. From the deck stairwell, a crew officer appeared, older, tan uniform, authoritative presence. Captain Renner. What's going on here? He asked. Clara rushed to him. Captain. She doesn't belong here. She was never cleared. She created a scene and now she's hiding information. She was pushed overboard, someone shouted. She was the scene, Luis added. Captain Renner turned to Nia. Ma'am, I need to ask. I'm not answering that, she said coolly, until you check your ship manifest. Elias added, and your corporate registry. She's not on this yacht by accident. Grant muttered, this is ridiculous. Is it? Nia said. Her voice finally rose, not in anger, but in precision. You've lied. You've fabricated. You've escalated. And now you're trying to criminalize my silence. Clara's eyes narrowed. She wouldn't even be here if she wasn't sleeping her way through capital. That did it. Even the PR woman gasped. From the back, a young guest, silent until now, finally spoke. Clara, she said, voice cracking, you just committed social suicide. At that moment, Elias's phone vibrated. He checked it. Read the screen. Nodded. Then looked at Nia. They're watching. Nia replied with 2 words. Let them. Execute. Level 3. Oh. The Mediterranean wind carried a quiet that wasn't peace, it was pressure. Like the pause before lightning hits. Nia stood still in the center of the deck. She looked around, not at faces, but at structures. The bar setup. The staging lights. The floral branding. All of it rented. All of it paid through offshore vendors. All of it, touchable. She pulled out a different phone, slim, matte, secure. Tapped once. It dialed instantly. Arden, she said. A voice answered, crisp, prepared. Yes, Miss Blake. Execute. Level 3. No hesitation. Confirmed. Timeline? Now. She ended the call. A faint hum vibrated through the deck as if the yacht itself knew what had been set in motion. Clara barked a laugh. What the hell was that? You'll find out, Nia said. In 12 minutes. Maybe less. Luis checked his stream. 5,300 live. Comments flew faster than he could read. Did she say level 3? Who is Arden? This woman is not playing. Elias looked at Nia. You sure? She nodded. I've been sure since she put hands on me. Suddenly, the lights above flickered. then stabilized. Marissa's phone buzzed nonstop. She checked it, eyes widening. Oh my God. She looked at Clara. They just pulled funding. What? The event. The foundation. The matching grants from Artemis Group. Gone. Clara's face drained. No, that's bluff. Marissa turned her screen. A system admin lockout notice from the Foundation's financial dashboard. It's not bluff. She just shut down the matching engine. Who even is she? Luis answered, still filming. She's the one who wasn't on the brochure because she paid for the printer. One of the donors, a man in a sharp gray suit, stepped forward, face pale. Wait, does this affect my portfolio? He asked. Nia looked at him, not cruel, not kind. Just truth. Check who owns the ports your commodities pass through. He fumbled for his phone. Captain Renner stepped back, now clearly aware of the shift. He wasn't in charge. Never had been. Even Grant seemed smaller now, less hedge fund royalty, more spectator at his own collapse. Nia stepped toward Clara. Level 3 means shutdown, she said. Asset freeze. Vendor block. Infrastructure pause. You wouldn't. Clara started. I already did. Another ping, this time from Clara's phone. She stared. Blinked. Paled. You canceled my store's inventory transit? Nia gave her a look that wasn't anger. It was finality. I canceled your access to my silence. This yacht runs on my ink. The silence didn't return, it collapsed. The kind of stillness that doesn't beg for attention. It commands it. Clara's phone slipped from her hand, screen still glowing. Blake Global, account access terminated. One by one, heads turned toward Nia. Toward the woman they dismissed as a +1. A footnote. A ghost in designer silence. Marissa whispered. She's not a donor. She's the foundation behind the foundation. Captain Renner's voice cracked through the tension. Miss Blake, is this true? Nia looked at him. This yacht, she said calmly, runs on my ink. She gestured to the lights overhead. Powered by Neptune Grid, Blake's subsidiary. To the catering van parked on the dock. Stocked by Delnova, partial acquisition, Blake backed. To the port where the yacht had docked this morning. Licensed through Aegis Maritime, fully owned. Every detail, every thread, every logistical dot, connected back to one name. Nia Blake. Luis panned his camera slowly across the stunned faces. His live stream view count passed 12,000. Damn. Someone whispered near the bar. We've been breathing in her infrastructure. Oh. Grant stepped forward, face pale, sweating now despite the breeze. Nia, he said, low and urgent, let's talk. Talk? She echoed. He hesitated. You didn't defend me, she said. You didn't speak. You didn't move. I didn't know it would go that far. But you knew it was going somewhere. Clara interjected, clinging to the last threads of entitlement. You can't just destroy people like this. Nia turned to her. No anger. Just accuracy. I didn't destroy you, Clara. You recorded yourself. I just pressed play. Clara opened her mouth. Nothing came out. And then another voice. She gave my sister her first job, said the woman in blue. Paid for a shipping container when the NGO had no funding, added a guest in the back. My firm wouldn't exist without her port rates, a man admitted, almost ashamed. Each testimony built like a chorus. One by one, the room remembered. Or realized. Or relented. They hadn't seen Nia. Not because she wasn't there, but because they never bothered to look. Elias walked to her side. You ready for what comes next? He asked quietly. Nia's reply was simple. Steady. I didn't come here to fight. I came here to remember who I am out loud. Undo it. Please. Undo it. Please. Clara whispered, mascara streaking like defeat down her cheek. The woman who once stood atop the deck like royalty, now looked washed out. Literally and metaphorically. No one will work with me after this, she pleaded. My board will pull me. My license. Nia simply looked at her. You didn't think about that when you pushed me. Clara stepped forward, then stopped, unsure if she was still allowed near. I made a mistake, she gasped. I thought you were less. Nia finished for her. You thought I was less. Clara nodded, ashamed. You looked simple. Alone. Exactly, Nia replied. And that told you everything about you, and nothing about me. Dud. On the far side of the deck, Grant was already on his phone pacing, red-faced. I need an emergency freeze reversal, he barked. No, I don't care what she authorized. She can't. He stopped mid-sentence. The person on the other end had just said something that made the blood drain from his face. He turned to Nia. You transferred the holding rights to Artemis? I always held the rights, she said. You just assumed I wouldn't use them. Dear. You're destroying everything we built. We? She echoed. You mean the company I bootstrapped while you played mogul? You needed my access. And you needed my mind. Grant stared. His world hedge fund, reputation, whisper deals, was shrinking by the second. Not from scandal. From exposure. He tried one last move. The marriage card. Nia, we're still legally. Don't, she cut in. Don't hide behind paperwork when you never showed up as a partner. Enders. He opened his mouth, but Elias stepped between them. Maybe now's a good time to find another deck. Grant's hands clenched. His eyes flicked toward Clara, the woman he let push his wife into the sea. Clara wouldn't meet his gaze. A guest spoke up, low but sharp. They don't even have loyalty among themselves. From across the deck, Marissa the PR director began clearing things quietly. Pulling down signage. Hiding logos. Damage control mode, too late, too small. Security was nowhere in sight. The guards had already stepped back, choosing neutrality over suicide. Luis was still filming now at 18,000 live views. And Nia? She simply sat down. For the first time all night. On a chair she didn't need to earn. On a deck she owned. And for the first time in years, she smiled. Not because she'd won, but because she'd never needed to fight, just remind them. This isn't revenge. This is return. The wind calmed. For the first time that night, the ocean matched her pulse steady, unbothered, unapologetic. Nia Blake stood again. Not to confront. Not to gloat. To leave. Because some exits don't need an audience. Just clarity. She walked toward the yacht's lower platform, where a smaller private tender waited. It had been there the entire time, quiet, sleek, hers. Behind her, no one dared speak. Not Clara, who now sat hunched on a cushion, makeup ruined, reputation shredded. Not Grant still holding a phone that no longer obeyed him. Not the guests who finally understood that silence wasn't neutrality. It had been complicity. Luis lowered his camera. He'd filmed what mattered. But this part? He let it breathe. Elias followed a few steps behind, saying nothing. At the ramp, Nia turned. She didn't speak to them. She spoke through them. I didn't come here to teach you a lesson, she said. I came because I forgot, for a moment, how much I didn't need this room. Someone near the bar wiped a tear. I built quietly. I succeeded silently. And I thought, if I kept doing that, maybe the world would meet me with grace. She paused. But it met me with what it always does, doubt dressed in pearls. Entitlement wrapped in champagne. She looked toward Clara, not cruelly. Just. Clearly. This isn't revenge, this is return. Then she faced the guests. If you learned anything tonight, let it be this. Power doesn't always walk in screaming. Sometimes, it floats in, soaking wet, and never flinches. She stepped onto the tender. Elias followed. Before they pulled away, Inez the waitress called out. Thank you, for reminding us we don't have to be loud to matter. Nia smiled. Thank you, she replied. For remembering with me. The engine started. As the tender peeled away from the yacht, wind catching her curls, moonlight catching her profile, the guests watched in silence. Not out of shock anymore, but out of respect. Because she didn't just walk out of their party. She walked back into herself. Don't mistake my grace for absence. The sea stretched behind them like velvet. Dark. Deep. Undisturbed. The tender cut across the waves, smooth, silent, certain. Nia sat at the edge, one hand resting on the polished wood, the other holding a steaming mug Elias had quietly handed her. No logos. No branding. Just warmth. Luis's video, now clipped and posted, had crossed 2 million views. And yet, here she was. Unbothered. Offline. Fully present. Elias spoke softly, almost not to disturb the moment. You sure you don't want to speak out, publicly? Nia took a slow sip. Then shook her head. They'll talk. Let them. They'll spin it. They always do, she said. But the truth doesn't need defending when it's lived. The lights of the yacht grew smaller behind them. A floating empire built on assumptions now broken, exposed, and lit like a stage that just ended its final act. A notification buzzed on Elias's phone. He checked it. They're issuing an apology. The Foundation. Clara stepped down. Nia smirked. Voluntarily? Technically. She said nothing. Then Elias added, "The world's seeing a new version of you tonight." Nia turned to him steady, unshaken. "No," she said. "They're seeing the unedited version." Her voice was soft. But something about it made the air still. Elias watched her as the wind lifted the edge of her coat, catching moonlight. Her eyes were focused, not on what she'd left but on where she was going. "I didn't change," she whispered. "I just stopped asking for permission to exist." He didn't respond. He didn't need to. As the tender approached the private pier, she stood. One last look back. Not longing, not regret. Just completion. And then, for the first time all night, she looked straight into the lens. Luis, still filming from afar, caught it. That one glance. Calm. Direct. Inevitable. And her final words barely a murmur, but piercing through every algorithm. "Don't mistake my grace for absence." Fade to black.